Welcome into the In the Money podcast for Saturday, January 26th. Tom Leach along with Jim Goodman, Keeneland's Director of Wagering Development, as we're going to take a look at the Pegasus Day card down at Gulfstream Park. A couple of things to mention, though, before we do that, Jim. One is that Oaklawn Park is starting this weekend. Their opening card, we're taping this on Thursday afternoon. Their card, first card is on Friday, and there's a Derby prep, the Southwest, I believe. And then Smarty Jones. And then we had a listener to the podcast that wrote us to thank us about a horse that we talked about that she actually ended up including that she wasn't going to and hit a pick 4. So always happy to hear those stories.
We are. It's nice that somebody's listening to us out there. Most of the time we don't hit them that often, but it's good that when we do hit them that somebody pays attention.
Absolutely. Well, let's start with the 9th race at Gulfstream for Saturday. It is an all-stakes late pick 4, and it's the Fred Hooper at a mile on the dirt for 4-year-olds and up. Cole Front, one of 2 Pletcher trainees in here, probably going to be a pretty solid favorite breaking from the rail. How do you see the Fred Hooper?
Yeah, I think Cole Front is probably going to be the favorite coming off that Mr. Prospector win at Gulfstream. I mean, sets him up perfectly for it with a 7-furlong trip. But this horse hasn't been a mile, so I'm not sure how much he wants past 7 furlongs. We're going to find out on Saturday. For that reason, I'm not picking him on top. I'm taking Copper Town for Todd Pletcher, the other Pletcher, and he will be a better price. Copper Town came back in the Cigar Mile off a 14-month layoff, and deservedly so, was short, didn't run that well, but obviously needed the race. He got bumped out of the gate and just never really got into the race. And he went off at 2-1 off a 14-month layoff in a Grade 1. So you think he might be highly regarded. And all he's got, he had 3 wins in a row before he got hurt. And seems to be working good for this return. And I think sets up well for him coming off the pace. Or he can get the lead if he wants to in those earlier races. So I think Castellano will have his pick of devices there and trips. So I'm taking Coppertown on top. I'm going to use Cold Front underneath. I'm going to use Breaking Lucky for George Weaver. Has a win at Gulfstream and has a win at the distance. Another one who had a perfect tune-up for this in a December 7th allowance optional claimer at a 94 buyer. Came out of the 1 hole and just went right to the lead. Never got headed. So Breaking Lucky has a shot. And Aztec Sense, the 6 horse for Jorge Navarro, who's winning at a 34% clip in 2018, 2019. And this horse is on an 8-race win streak. And none of them are graded stakes, but they're stakes at Parks and at Gulfstream. So this horse is a winner. And 8 for 8 in 2018, not too bad a year. So I'm going to use those 4 when we get to pick 4. But Coppertown is my pick. Hopefully a little juicy price, maybe 5-1 or so.
Yeah, I'm on the same 4. I did take Cole Front on top after that impressive 102 buyer in the first start at Gulfstream, but I had written down the distance was a question mark. Breaking Lucky was, I thought, really interesting. With Saez has just been riding lights out. So Saez is riding, and then this horse moved into the Weaver barn. I think it's 3 starts back, ran a couple times, then took a time off and came back with that big effort you talked about in early December. So they may have found the right formula for this barn with this horse. And getting Saez, I thought, at a horse that might sneak up higher than the morning line, this one was interesting. So I'm going to use 4 in the pick 4 as well. If you want a single or narrow a ticket, you could take the 2 Pletchers in here and just stand with those and go deeper in other spots. But I want Aztec Sense and Breaking Lucky on my pick 4 ticket too. 10th race is at 1.5 miles on the turf. It's the Grade 3 WL McKnight. Getting rain in South Florida towards the end of this week now. So I think these races will stay on the turf, but I would suspect that it'll be something less than firm. I went to Zulu Alpha. It's the horse that I loved in the stakes race at Keeneland that he won. Got him at 7-1. Got a nice win that day. Second start for Mike Maker. That's sometimes a positive. I like that Ortiz stays on, so I'm just going to forgive that last race and think if he could come back to that form at Keeneland, this horse could run really big in here. The 7 Canizar, I like. Solio, the 2. If you want to go deeper, Nessie, the 10 at a price, and can't help believing at a bit of a price for Graham Motion, who's always dangerous in the marathons. But Zulu Alpha is the win pick for me in the WL McKnight. How about you?
I think this one's a little wide open because I'm going to mention a couple of horses you didn't even mention. My win pick here is Solio. I think Solio is very consistent, and coming out of a 2-mile race, he certainly ought to be fit. He likes a mile and a half. Ramsey likes to win races on big days, and Mike Maker it gets them ready. I think Solio is probably my win pick in here, but I'm going to go deep in the pick 4. Zulu Alpha I'm going to use Johnny Bear, but I would, if it's soft turf, I might not. I'm using him off that Northern Dancer, the Grade 1 win at Woodbine, 2 starts back. But he, excuse me, he doesn't like the soft turf, and that might influence me to cut my ticket down a little bit. But right now I'm going to use him. And then I'm going to use a couple horses on the outside. Mark It Off for Mike Maker, and Giroux takes the mount here. This horse has been extremely consistent, ran right behind Johnny Bear in that Northern Dancer, and I use that as kind of a key race. And then Village King, the 12 for Pletcher, getting better, a lightly raced horse that came out of Argentina, and he's only run 4 times in the States, but the 2 turf races were very good, including a optional 80,000 near miss at Belmont, and won the Red Smith at Aqueduct when it came off the turf. So very versatile horse. So Village King, I think, has a shot to get the trifectas as well. So I'm going to go 5 deep there, but my win pick is Solio, the 2 horse.
Next, we get to the 2 Grade 1s, the Pegasus World Cup Invitationals. This first one's on the turf at 1 mile and 3/16 for 3-year-olds and up. I thought this was a well-matched group as well. Who did you land on?
Yeah, I thought so too. I landed on Channel Maker. I like everything inside. I'm going to use the 1 through the 5 in my pick 4. But Channel Maker, it's just draw a line through the Breeders' Cup turf. Don't know what happened there. He got up to the lead and just gave it up, and they didn't persevere with him. But you draw a line through that one. He's been extremely consistent, including a 4.5 furlong, 4.5 length win in the Turf Classic Invitational at Belmont. That was on soft turf, and this horse does like soft turf. So if it comes up soft on Saturday, you might give him a little extra check mark. You give him another extra check mark for Bill Mott. Magic Wand, the filly on the inside, Yoshida for Bill Mott as well, ran very well in the Breeders' Cup Classic at Churchill. Goes back to the turf now, but this horse got beat a length and 3/4 by Accelerate. Might be pretty good. Aerolith, the 4, if Florent Giroux can make 112 pounds, the horse gets 12 pounds off Yoshida for being a filly and no Lasix. So, and the next shares is my 5th horse I would use. Horse surprised, ran pretty good in the Breeders' Cup Mile, and then came back in San Gabriel and won, and the Shedwell Turf winner at Keeneland on that very impressive day. So I'm going to use all the inside horses here. Channel Maker would be my pick, but I can make a case for Yoshida and next shares in specific, and plus those fillies getting 12 pounds.
I ended up on Channel Maker too. He's like 12 to 1 in the morning line. We both ended up on a price here. I'm like you. I just forgive the Breeders' Cup, and then that form looks really good. He's run well on off-turf courses, so he shouldn't mind the moisture in the ground. Good speed from that inside post. I think Yoshida's probably the one to beat, but definitely also I'm going to use Magic Wand. And then the others that I had on my list were Next Shares, the 5 that you mentioned, and also Bricks and Mortar, just off the Chad Brown angle, really. I mean, there's a stretch out from 1 mile to 1 mile and 3/16, but the Chad Brown angle, I'm thinking that one's kind of intriguing as well. But Channel Maker for me in the Pegasus World Cup Invitational gets us to the main event, the Grade 1 Pegasus World Cup Invitational on the dirt at 1 mile and 1/8. Accelerate, the Breeders' Cup Classic winners in here, making his final start. City of Light, who won the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. You got Gunnavera, who loves Gulfstream. But I ended up taking Bravazzo, kind of price shopping a little bit. I thought Bravazzo just got steadily better. I think it was a 102 buyer in the Clark Handicap at 1 mile and 1/8 was the culmination of his improvement last year. And you get a hot rider in Saez, a great post position. Horse has been firing bullets in training for Lucas. Got one work over, kind of an easy work over the Gulfstream surface. and I think he could get a little lost in the wagering. And because of that, I'm going to key him with the two most likely winners, I think, City of Light and Accelerate. Gunnevera would be the other one for me. Accelerate, I'm just a little leery of. Fired his best shot, obviously. I'm sure the main event was the Breeders' Cup Classic, even though this is worth more. I still think it's a little bit of an afterthought to the Breeders' Cup Classic, and different surface, second trip across country, which is true for City of Light, but I just think Accelerate's a little vulnerable at if he gets to a really short price. So Bravazzo for me. How about you?
Yeah, I think Accelerate's going to be 4 to 5. I wouldn't bet him to win, but I do have a way I'm going to play this race, I think. The two horses that can win the race, and I'd flip a coin between them, City of Light and Accelerate. And Accelerate's got the better resume, of course, but City of Light ran unbelievably well on Breeders' Cup Day. And you go back to the Oakland Handicap last year at a mile and an eighth, and City of Light beat Accelerate this exact distance, beat him by neck, but he beat him. Accelerate came back and turned the tables on him in the Gold Cup, and Accelerate got better. But I think City of Light and Accelerate can win, and that's the two horses I'm going to use to pick 4. But I'm going to use the same strategy that my friend Chuck Grubbs did in the BCBC tournament. He keyed Gunnevera second and third. I think Gunnevera is the perfect horse to key below in the trifecta. And I think if you can go Accelerate and City of Light with Gunnevera with all, and then flip it, put Gunnevera in third, you might cash a ticket because he always gets there. He doesn't quite get to the lead, but he is always finishing, and he loves Gulfstream. I think that's a good bet. As they're coming down the stretch, just don't let him pass those other two. Just pass one of them.
All right, Jim, let's go to our late pick 4 tickets. Again, it starts in the 9th race. I've got 1, 4, 6, 8 with 2, 4, 7 with 1, 2, 3 with 1, 3, 5, 8. That's a $72 ticket for 50 cents. So I'm using 4 in the Pegasus World Cup, and then in the Turf Edition, I'm just using the 3 inside horses. If you want to go deeper in that race, because I kind of hate leaving Next Shares and Bricks and Mortar both out of that race. If you've got the budget, you could add those 2, or if you want to tweak the ticket a little bit, you could add 2 there and just stick with the 2 Pletchers in the first leg would be my suggestion. But to keep the ticket affordable, I'm staying at $72 with 4x3 by 3x4. How about you?
I spent $100 even. I've got 4 horses the first leg, 1, 4, 6, 8. I think we agreed on the first leg. Cold Front, Breaking Lucky, Aztec Sense, and Coppertown. So 1, 4, 6, 8 with 2, 4, 5, 11, 12. That's Solio, Zulu Alpha, Johnny Bear, Mark It Off, and Village King. And then the 1 through the 5 in the turf race. Magic Wand, Yoshida, Channel Maker, Aerolith, and Next Shares. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then standing on 2 horses in the Pegasus with Accelerate, the 3, and City of Light, the 5. So that's $100 even. Good
luck with your wagers on the Pegasus World Cup card on Saturday. There's a pick 5 that starts in the 8th race with a graded stake, the La Proviante. There's another couple other graded stakes on the card, so it's a really nice day down at Gulfstream. Unfortunately, the track may be somewhat off. We'll see how much rain they get. Again, don't forget Oakland's starting this weekend to go with the great racing at Fairdown, Santa Anita, and elsewhere. So keep your Keeneland Select account fully funded. We'll be back next week with another edition of the In the Money Podcast.